Climate Week New York City unites leaders from across industries to accelerate solutions for a sustainable future. Acumen's Climate Week interviews shine a spotlight on industry leaders and show how businesses can inspire action, drive innovation, and help shape a resilient, sustainable, and low-carbon future. Aviation connects people, cultures, and economies around the world, and with that global reach comes a responsibility to address its carbon footprint. That's why Delta Airlines is on a journey to connect people to a more sustainable future of travel, setting a goal of net zero carbon emissions by 2050 while delivering elevated travel experiences for its customers. Amelia, great to see you. I'm Allison.
Nice to meet you, Allison.
Come, let's take a walk.
Absolutely.
From advancing sustainable aviation fuel and accelerating the development of the aircraft of the future to driving operational efficiency on every flight, Delta is working to decarbonize the industry and inspire collaboration throughout the ecosystem. In this conversation, we hear from Amelia DeLuca, Delta's Chief Sustainability Officer, who will discuss how the airline is driving meaningful change in aviation. How long have you been with Delta?
Almost 20 years.
Wow, and the sustainability part of Delta, how many years?
It's been about 2.5 years. So it's kind of like a dream. A lot of pinch me moments in the sustainability field these days.
Delta has certainly committed to reaching net zero by 2050.
Yeah.
What does that ambition mean for the airline and for aviation even more broadly?
Yeah, it's a really ambitious, some would say audacious goal, and the airlines all rallied around it because it's important for us to demonstrate that we're doing our part as the world moves forward towards a net zero future. It's important, though, because air travel, while 2 to 3% of global greenhouse gas emissions today, could potentially grow to be much more than that as other industries decarbonize. And so it was important for the airline sector to say, yes, we will also be in lockstep as we move forward, albeit a little bit later. It's much harder to decarbonize or even to electrify aircraft. So we're going to have to look at a lot of solutions between now and 2050.
Yeah, financially, it must be a challenge, to say the least.
Yeah, I will say so far so good, because if you think about it, so 90% of our impact on the planet comes from jet fuel. Jet fuel is also either our number one or number two cost driver, depending on the cost of fuel. And so when we tackle our fuel footprint and making it more efficient today, we're actually saving a lot of money. So we're on track to save $150 million this year through our Carbon Council, which is a fuel efficiency body of work. And so as we go, these aircraft of the future, you look at them and you're designing a net zero aircraft, for example, but anything that uses less fuel is also going to be more cost efficient for us. So yes, there's a little bit of a green premium between now and then, but the long term of this is actually really financially viable.
Delving a little bit deeper into what you're talking about, sustainable aviation fuel is often described as the most immediate lever for decarbonizing flight. How is Delta helping to scale its use?
Yeah, so sustainable aviation fuels is super interesting, completely new industry across the world. The United States is in a leading position. And so you want, as an airline, you're saying, I want this product, but it's not being created today. And so you're sitting there saying, we need to build the value chain. And the value chain for sustainable aviation fuel, it starts on the ground, either with farmers or forest landowners, for example, and then it moves into production in local communities, rural communities in the Midwest, for example. And then you look at airlines as well as corporate customers who all need access to that fuel. And so for us, the real example of that is our Minnesota Sustainable Aviation Fuel Hub, or SAF Hub, where we've got the whole value chain from farmers to corporate customers to the government, all involved in saying we want to bring this product to Minnesota as quickly as possible.
Delta recently achieved a major fuel savings milestone. How are you embedding that kind of efficiency, across the business?
Yeah, so we put our work under what we fly, how we fly, and the fuel we use. And the most immediate lever that we have is how we fly. That's completely within our control. Every single day, we as Delta Airlines can use less jet fuel than the day before, for example. And we've actually have 65% of our frontline teams now know every day how they can deliver against that mission. And so it's things such as how you cool and power an aircraft at the gate, for example. You want to make sure you're not using jet fuel on that, but instead you're using ground power. That's one example. Any weight that you can get off the airplane has immediate jet fuel savings, as well as often product savings as well. And then just like your car, the more straight you fly, the more efficient you're flying, the more you can save on jet fuel. And so so that group is teed up to save $150 million this year. That was our first short-term climate target. We achieved it 9 months early, so we're very proud. And that's just through the power of Delta's 100,000 people.
Partnerships and innovation, they seem central to Delta's strategy. Can you share on how collaborations are helped to accelerate progress in this area?
Yeah, exactly. So when you look at our categories of how we achieve sustainability, if you start with what we fly, I mean, the aircraft of the future will be designed by some really incredible innovative thinkers from some startup companies like JetZero or Mave, who we've partnered with, both are startup innovation type firms, to the more established OEMs such as Airbus or Boeing. All of those players right now are looking at solutions. And so Delta sits there and says, we want to be your partner. We want to say, how would the aircraft of the future, how could we gate it? How would you board it? How would you make it a better customer experience? We sit there and say, this is a mission that we would need, meaning we need the aircraft to fly this distance with this amount of seats to make sense within our network. And so we partner together with those innovators to make sure that their brilliant concept, when it comes to reality, doesn't have any additional roadblocks.
As you look ahead, what role do you see Delta continuing to play in shaping the future of sustainable travel?
Yeah, I think it's really raising the bar on what sustainable travel looks like. Delta is a beloved consumer brand. People are very loyal to us. We're a top consumer brand. And so for us, it's not only trying to decarbonize in ways that people will never see. They're not going to know every day that we're flying more efficiently, but they do see what they experience on board. And so for us, the sustainable travel experience is from start to finish. So it's looking at our portfolio of partner companies like an Uber and saying, okay, Uber offers an EV product to the airport. And then it's saying, okay, when I get on board, I'm going to see a paper cup instead of a traditional plastic cup. It's using our entertainment on board to tell stories about some of our partnerships that are all over the world trying to do better for this planet. And so for us, it's just raising that bar on that sustainable travel experience, which you're going to see us. There's so many possibilities of what we can do on board. And so customers should look forward to seeing more.
Fantastic conversation. Thanks, Amelia, for your time.
Thank you.
Delta's journey shows how bold climate goals can be turned into tangible progress, from saving millions of gallons of fuel through daily operational improvements to researching innovative new aircraft and scaling the sustainable aviation fuel market. These steps highlight what's possible when innovation and collaboration come together. The path to net zero will be challenging, but it's also a chance to reimagine the future of flight, one that keeps people connected while protecting the planet we share.